I don't know if this is like just an illusion, but it's bright out today, but it feels a little... Well, actually, no, what the hell am I talking about? Yeah, obviously it doesn't feel as colorful. It's getting into fall time, so all the trees are getting a little more darker brown, red. Yeah, okay, what am I saying? It's like I've never gone through the seasons before. But, no, just like it feels a little just unsaturated, a little gray out right now. Which, it'll be replaced by like a, super kind of snowy winterland eventually. But yeah, this, I could see how this could get somebody. I mean, we're always hyping up, like, go outside, get some vitamin D, get some sun exposure. But I mean, it's legit. I think it adds up. As much as I would say, like, sleep well, stay hydrated, eat your meals, make sure you get enough protein in, eat your creatine, get your multivitamins, get your fish oil. Like, as much as all those are little things, they add up to a really good workout, right? Or just feeling good the next day. So I can see how also, kind of negatives that hit you pretty bad as well. Like, let's say, somebody is, they just keep getting hit with bad weather. It's cold out. You're not getting any sun exposure. Now your vitamin D is off. It's, just try not to don't be a victim of your environment. And I don't mean victim like that. I just mean victim as in, like, your overall mood, your enjoyment, maybe your, your excitement for life is only dictated by, like, your external surroundings. I just saw a TikTok where it was just like a couple slides of quotes that was really getting me going. The basic gist was, it's hard for people to raise themselves above their own circumstance. And I think that, a lot of people, it's very easy to write off why they haven't done something cool or fun or just anything like that because of this and because of this and because of, well, and then this happened, and then I got, and then I got a flat tire, and it was like a whole thing, and then just like it's classic. It's a story as old as time to just come up with a zillion excuses, to explain why you are exactly where you are. But if you can kind of fight against that, well, then guess what? You're going to be in a different spot, and now you're kind of proving to yourself that you have the power to change your circumstances because you made it happen. And I know it seems like that's kind of like arbitrary motivational talk, whatever, but there's guys fighting the good fight out there. And in a lifting context, what I mean by that is, let's say a younger dude, still living with his parents, and he's not in a very fitness oriented household. They're like, dinner every night is gonna be a let me think, like buffalo chicken dip, chips out the wazoo, just only full sugar soda in the house because the parents are, like, somehow skeptical about diet soda, and they say that full sugar soda is actually better for you. Like, there's a lot of crazy shit like that goes down, and let's say the everybody else in the family maybe isn't super active, and then maybe the younger guy, he just watched a bunch of David Lade edits. He just saw some Lex Little deadlifts, or like some crazy ass Trend Twin destruction, as well as just insane lifts, and he's like, dude, I want to do this shit. I'm done eating all this fucking trash. I'm gonna freaking bulk up, put some muscle on it. And then, well, now he's got to kind of fight against his circumstances, because I don't. I'm not saying this from experience. This is kind of just, an implication of what I assume happens sometimes, and just like hearing anecdotal stories from people, where it's like, nobody really wants to see you do better than them, at least if they're a little bit of the jealous type. You tell somebody, oh, dude, I'm not drinking tonight. What, you think you're better than me? Dude, come on, I can't eat that, bro. Come on. Dude, I'm not getting ice cream. I'm dieting. What? You're too cool to eat ice cream with us, bro? What the fuck? I'm not saying that happens all the time, and I'd imagine, most people are cool about it, and they're not going to make a fuss for you, but some people do, and maybe it's because of their own insecurities, and like they feel attacked that you're trying to, it's whatever, all right? So that's where you got to kind of hold strong, and don't let that kind of thinking throw you off, right? I mean, it's, you might seem a little crazy, and you definitely will in the period of time before you've actually really achieved your results, right? I don't think anybody is gonna, even somebody who doesn't know me, like if I sat down at like a restaurant or something, and all I had in front of me was like, can I ask for just grilled chicken and like a salad with no dressing? If somebody actually noticed that, they might not be surprised, right? But that's, what I'm really getting at is, like, back when I was a 160-pound dude in like sophomore high school, I'm drinking egg whites. I've got freaking bowls of sardines, like 4 tins all together. I'm I was eating too much protein. Like, for a while I was thinking, okay, if 1 gram per pound of body weight is good, 2 must be better. Like, I've had days, like, I tracked it. I've still got the Google Docs, where as a 180-pound dude, I was eating like 350 grams of protein. Like, I had 400-gram days. I don't think it hurt, but I don't think it helped more than just like eating a gram per pound. Like, I think if you weigh 200 pounds and eat 200 grams of protein, that's good. That's about the sweet spot. You're not missing out if you eat a little more, or you're not missing out if you eat a little less, and you're not really missing out if you eat a little more. I think that's a good sweet spot. But, look at a 160-pound dude eating meal prep, doing, I used to do the treadmill for cardio, so I had my treadmill in my parents' basement, so I'm just sitting there, just doing a walk for 45 minutes on the incline so I could get up to 300 calories burned. And, I didn't look like a bodybuilder. Like, I look like I was, in shape for 160 or 170, but there's no results yet, but the effort was still all the way there, So from the outside perspective, it's like, this is just a phase. What's he doing? Yeah, I guess he really likes working out, right? That sort of thing, But if you have your own vision of knowing that what you're doing is just adding freaking building blocks brick by brick towards something later, only once you've actually achieved a notable kind of level of progress do you kind of get that affirmation of like, holy crap, this guy works out, So all I'm saying is it might take a while to get there. It's gonna take more than a few weeks for you to go back and visit your grandma's house and she says, who is this guy? This isn't my grandson. Who are you? How'd you get in my house? Right? It's gonna take a while for like some of your friends or maybe your teachers or something to say like, hey man, you been working out? All right, but it will happen. And that's not the point. I think I think a good motivation for working out is because you want to do it for you. But I'm not going to deny that it feels kind of cool if you see someone a year later than you saw them last, and they can say like, holy crap, dude, what happened? Like, I'm not saying that's the goal, but that's definitely kind of a perk. And for getting a little bit more muscle in your frame, yeah, obviously that's cool. But I think it's a much more jaw-dropping response for somebody to be maybe 50, 60, 70 pounds overweight, and then over the course of a period of time, if now they're down to like a leaner self, and then they see somebody they haven't seen since they started that whole journey, that is way more abrupt than just being a little bit bigger. Obviously being a little bigger is cool, but to gain 10 pounds is not even close to as crazy as to lose 50, right? Or as to lose however many, right? And that's a situation where, shit, man, it's really going to take a while, I mean, I didn't feel much leaner a month into this diet than I was in the beginning, and I'm already on the leaner side of things, so I'm definitely spoiled to already be down at that lower percentile of body fat, right? So, take that as, if you're in that position where it's like, all right, man, 2026, I'm getting back under 200. I don't care what it takes. Man, you got to hold strong, because how many people are going to say that, and how many people are going to try to get leaner next year, versus how many are really going to make it happen? How many can actually stick to it? And it's low. So that's where, honestly, that's the flex of working out anyway, I think, is it's not necessarily the physical change. Like, it's not being in a certain shape or being a certain level of leanness or like whatever. That's not exactly what I think is the cool part. At least for me, what gets me amped up and kind of excited is the fact that I know nobody else is willing to do it. Like, it's a small percentage of people that actually make it happen. The demand for, being on the leaner side of things and being in shape is pretty high. I mean, that's why overnight an instant multi-billion, I don't know about multi-trillion, dollar kind of business was created with all the Ozempic shit, because they're like, holy crap, skinny in a pill? Oh, I think it comes with its own problems. I'm not a freaking doctor, so I don't know it exactly, but the demand is there. If you gave everybody in the freaking world, I say this a couple times, a magic shaker bottle, right, or a golden shaker, rub it 3 times and Ronnie Coleman pops out and he says, look, man, I don't have 3 wishes, I just have one. You want to be in shape? Name one person who wouldn't take that deal, right? I'd take that deal. Damn good deal, But let's bring it from this magic situation to the real world. Well, all right, it's going to take about 2 years or a year or however, whatever. You're gonna have to limit how much food you're eating. You're gonna have to count it. You're gonna have to do some cardio. You're gonna have to work out. You're gonna have to basically do that for a couple 100 times in a row, maybe even 1,000 times in a row to get to whatever your real goal is. That changes things, right? That's where everybody kind of rubs their neck or looks and I don't know about that. I think I might take it back. I don't know if I really want to do that. So it's just a situation of wants, right? You want it, but you don't want to do it. I'm not saying us. I'm just saying, and people who are people who aren't close to that first step are thinking like that. Everybody wants it. They don't really want to do it. So that's where you can really separate yourself, because you can say, shit, man, I don't care if it's going to be a little tricky. It's cool to be in the minority in terms of doing something hard, because it's kind of like a flex, because now you're a little different than everybody else. And isn't that what we all want? We all just want to feel like we're cooler than everybody, not in like not like a weird kind of, like, not like that, but you get what I'm saying. Back when you were in school, if you did an art project and yours got picked as the example, like, guys, can you be more like Thomas here? Look at this, and it's just like a watercolor drawing of anything. This is what we want to see, right? Everybody give Thomas a couple claps. That's cool, right? That's a good feeling. Just that kind of individual praise like that, So that's not the point. I'm not saying that you need external validation, but to do something that nobody else is willing to do should give you that kind of internally, Like, every time I finish 30 minutes of cardio and I post it on my story, I don't put it in the comments section, or I don't add it as like a caption, because I think it'd be a little too on the nose, just kind of mean. But I always want to put the caption like, man, I know you didn't do this shit. or just add something like 30 more minutes than you. That's kind of mean, but that makes me excited about it. Even when I'm like feeling a little bored of it or I don't want to do it, knowing that kind of just, it makes me pedal a little bit harder. But I've been yapping for a little while. I haven't even talked about the workout. So today's the second phase of legs. So today is going to be hamstrings, adductors, and calves. Hamstrings will really be the primary star of the show. I'll just do, I don't know what I'll do. I'll see. I know that I love the laying curl here. The seated curl's solid as well, but I'm making today a little bit of a combo where it's going to be hamstrings, adductors, calves, and then cardio bike after, all in one morning session. Because it's a little bit more chill. Like just hamstrings in a dieting context is not like gonna kill me, in the sense of like, you know, I'm not gonna be dying out of breath from a couple sets of squeezing hamstring curls. And the cardio bike is quad. Like I'm not getting a ton of hamstring activation, so I don't mind hitting the bike immediately after. You know, if you're in a diet and you don't want to go to the gym twice a day, or you don't have a cardio bike at the house, or anything, 30 minutes of cardio post-workout, I do not see a problem. You know, maybe make sure you have a protein shake or something, or like you ate a good sized meal beforehand. The only thing I wouldn't do cardio immediately after quads though. Like if I just finished quads and I had a quad pump, I don't think you'd want to do cardio immediately after. You know, unless maybe you wanted to do like the upper body machine where you're pedaling with your hands. But I think quads, you could say, okay, we'll let quads be it. But everything else, like if I finish back or chest or arms or hamstrings like today, just sit on the bike for 30 minutes, it doesn't add that much. Like that's a pretty easy add, you know. And then I like the, you know, 10 calorie per minute rate. So 30 minutes, 300 calories. But you know, if it's your first time doing it and you're like, dude, 300 calories in 30 minutes is way too much, I gotta drop it to 200. Well, then that's cool too, right? Because that's still way better than nothing, like most people are doing. But yeah, I didn't mean to chat that up too much. So let's just get in here and get started. All right, the stack is feeling pretty heavy. So instead of hitting the whole thing, let's just do 155 to start. And I'm not saying I couldn't do it, but I think it'd be unnecessary. So, and by unnecessary, I mean I could hurt myself for no reason and I wouldn't get anything more out of it. So 150 feels pretty good. And as a starter set, I'm gonna actually squeeze and hold at the top for, I don't know, like 7 or 8, as many as I can before burning out with partials and saying that the set's actually over. All right. There we go. Okay, a few more just like that. I'm not going to do the self-assisted reps for today. Okay. Oh. Honestly, as a light squeezing set, based on how they feel already, I think this could be it. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, that's enough. I'm gonna go camp on the adductor. All right, yeah, no pose down for just a hamstring pump. There's just not much going on. But I think you could take that idea a few steps further. I think you already know my stance on valuing a post-lift pose down, but there is also value in its absence. So what I mean by that is, I don't remember which bulk it was. It was definitely a while ago, like years. Like this was before any of the videos. But I had done one bulk where no pump checks at all. I think for like 5 months, 4 months, I don't know, 4 months minimum. So my idea was, okay, if I don't see myself pumped, like sure, I'll see myself when I shower or whatever, but if I don't actually see myself fully pumped up, good lighting, just veiny everything, then at the end of the bulk, it'll feel like a very drastic difference. Like I'll feel like I'm walking around like a goddamn meat, I was about to say meat cake, beef cake. And it worked. Like it definitely felt like a substantial change. But I think doing that in a bulk is maybe a little bit less ideal than doing that during a dieting phase. Like if I didn't do any kind of, pose down, pump check, basically like a self check-in after these lifts or during cardio, and then, maybe I look at myself once a month, and I'd have to track the scale just to make sure I was actually losing the weight. But if I only saw myself once a month, well, then it would feel like a pretty drastic improvement every time I looked at myself, So it's kind of like a patience game of waiting until you actually have changes to notice, right? You're not going to see grass grow or paint dry, but it still does, right? So that's where if you're like obsessed with, okay, I got to get 18-inch arms, I'm at 17 right now, or I got to get 19 or whatever, you don't really have to measure them twice a day. You don't have to measure them every morning and every night. You only kind of have to check it in once a week, every arm day that maybe you felt extra pumped, because just you'd think the more frequent you track it, like the more accurate you're being. But I think it's really just kind of driven by like antsiness, like you're just excited to see the changes sooner than it's actually going to take. And it's even the same thing with checking your weight on the scale, like on a day-by-day basis. Like if I zoomed into my weight for just a week, it's going to go up and down, maybe a plus or minus of like 2 pounds either way. Like I might wake up a little dehydrated and lighter with an empty stomach, and then maybe I didn't digest my food as fast, or I had a really late big meal the night before, and then I'm a few pounds heavier the day after. Like even on a week frame, it can go up and down pretty drastically. But if I zoom out to a month, if I zoom out to 2 months, that's where the pattern starts to make itself much more apparent. If you kind of feel what I'm saying. So just don't get discouraged if you feel like it's taking a little bit longer than you'd like. Because, as long as you're actually doing the steps necessary to make that progress, well, then it's going to happen. Whether it takes a year or, 6 months or whatever, that's not necessarily a question of your own ability. It's more so a question of your patience and how long can you basically hold out and wait to see those results, because it's not an if. Like the only if is, okay, if I count on my calories and I track my cardio and I make sure I get my weight in order and then I gradually get leaner, that's the if. So if you do that, there's no more ifs. It's only then, right? It's a very strong if-then statement. If I get my calories and my diet in order, keep my cardio consistent, train hard, then whether calories in order means like bulking up diet or dieting down, well then guess what? I'm going to make whatever results I'm capable of making, be it getting bigger or getting leaner, right? So just try to keep it scoped on that sort of situation, right? Don't let anything else freaking distract you. But that was good. I'm definitely going to feel that tomorrow. And I don't know if it's like there's just something about hamstrings, or maybe they get residually worked when I do my cardio. But like, I mean, even after that fourth set, I think I could have been fine just calling it there and then moving on to everything else. I did the extra fifth, but kind of just because I thought 4 seemed a little low. I was looking at everybody's comments because yesterday I asked, or at least in the video that I posted yesterday, I asked, what's everybody's routine, like sets, split, maybe how have you changed it? And I was scanning through a bunch of them, and I got a couple that were, like a few guys that actually kind of brought their routine up. They said they were doing, I think one guy said he was doing everything every other day. So he was doing essentially, it wasn't upper lower, but it was like splitting the body in half for this day, then this day, and then a rest day like once per week. And his thing was, I do 2 to 4 sets each body part, extra seriously intense, and then I can hit everything very frequently, and I can manage the fatigue so that I keep making gains and don't burn myself out. And to that I say, well, shit, man, if it's actually working, well, then what he's doing isn't wrong. And I wouldn't say it's wrong anyway, but that's like the main component of anybody putting out their routine, and or even just doing a routine at all, is it working, right? Is it giving you the results that you want to achieve from the routine? So another guy comments that he's doing like 20 sets on average per body part twice a week. Like he's doing a push-pull legs, just like a regular like 3-day rest day kind of routine. And his ass said he was doing 20 sets, making sure he had his cardio or his calories in order. And he said he was making steady progress too. And kind of like jokingly, he asked at the end of the comment, like, is that too much? And it's like, well, is it? If it's working, like, this isn't a right or wrong scenario, if you kind of feel me. I was on a TikTok live with a guy. I wasn't on it, but I just scroll and I see him. So I asked him, like, what do you think a good volume per lift is? Like, how many sets should you do per lift, assuming you hit everything twice a week in a regular fashion? And for me, I'm aiming for kind of around that 7 mark, sometimes 8, sometimes 6. But around 7 is when I feel like if I really brought it, I've done enough, I'm pumped, I'm stimulated, I'm burned out, and I don't feel like more volume is really helping the situation. And that's like half situational, like I know how much volume I've done in the past and how it's made me feel and how I came back the next lift, but also just how it feels in the moment. Like by the time I've done my 7th set, or like tomorrow I want to do chest, probably by the time I'm around that 7th or 8th set of something, I'll finish it and say, ooh, yeah, that was enough. And do I have an exact situation of like what criteria I hit? It's not so measurable as per like, I did 100 reps like I said I would, or I did 10 sets like I said I would. It's more so just kind of achieving a feeling of like, that was enough. And that's kind of a subjective feeling for me based on, all the lifts I've already done and all the gains I've already made, and kind of using all that data. Like if my brain is an AI, that's all the data I've got. So I'm, toiling around with it and then saying, this is the answer. This 7-set chest day today, you've done enough, you're good. So if you kind of get what I'm saying there. But yeah, it's not but I can't stress this enough. You're not gonna go wrong when you if you come in and bring it. Like you can't really go totally wrong, even if you did a 25-set chest day, or if you did a 3-set chest day and you went crazy on those 3 sets. Like, it's not a question of going right or going wrong. It's more so, what I'm most concerned about isn't even like the perfection of the workouts, like plan or execution, or not execution, but just like plan or program. Like, I'm kind of more concerned with like, how hard is this guy going, And then for me, it's how hard am I going? Like, am I really bringing it? Could I do a few more reps on those sets of leg curls? And did I leave anything in the tank? Like, I don't want to have to say yes to that statement. Like, I want to be able to say, those 4 sets, I brought it on every single one of them. The last one, I did some extra kind of, forced reps by grabbing the weight. I think I did it, So that's what I'm concerned with, I think everything else beyond that is just banter, half for its own sake, because people like to argue, and they like to argue that they're right and that someone else is wrong, as well as just like, if you get into a headspace where you think you're right, well, if anyone else thinks anything else, well, then usually it's a pretty natural response to think that they're wrong. Like, I think this is a weird phase we're in, and I'm adding to it because I talk about it. But yeah, if you're actually, if you're looking for my perspective, if you're bringing it on the regular, you're hitting the gym 5-6 times a week, cardio is involved at least every blue moon, every so often, and you're making gains, oh shit, man, keep doing what you're doing, and try to make your routine a little bit better every day. Try to make your effort a little better every day, and it's as much as a conscious effort as that seems. Like, I think it's as simple as, did you go a little extra hard? Like, did you rack the weight and say, holy crap, I didn't think I could get that last one, but I still went for it. Whoa. Like, those are, I think, the real attributes that make a badass lifter. Not whether he's doing a supinated curl or a pronated preacher, whatever like that. Lifting, it's not all in here, right? I think a very good chunk of it, it's way in here, right? So that's all I got for today. I got a comment where somebody says, man, a 27-minute back workout, and only 5 minutes of it was a workout. Sorry. Like, that's how long it took to do those working sets. Between the working sets, I just sit and listen to my music or watch a TikTok edit, and then I just do another one. Like, it's only a couple minutes of actual work in the workout. So take that as you will, right? I think if I had a 2-hour workout video every day, well, I think I might be a little inefficient, if you see what I'm saying. But I'm going to enjoy a dry November 4th, and hopefully it doesn't get too wet and gloomy, because that sucks. I don't mind if it's still sunny, but if it gets a little, if it's overcast for too long, it definitely, like, I don't feel bad, like, in a personal sense, but I just don't like it as much. I want the sun to be freaking shining. But that's all I got. So tomorrow I'm going to make sure I go extra crazy on chest, which I think I always want to do. That's not a new plan, and we'll just see how pumped up I can get. So that's all. Let me get past this little turn so I don't spill it into one of these cones. This they're making a whole new bridge for these train tracks over this road, and they've been working on it for I think 4,000 or 5,000 years. So I don't anticipate that will ever change, but I'll keep you updated if it does. But I'll see you tomorrow.